30.
Welcome to episode 30 of Curious Conversations. We've hit 30.
30, bro.
We've got a couple of topics that we want to chat on, things that we've been thinking about, things we've been reading about. Both Aidan and I have kind of went through a phase recently of both reading a lot more and being more intentional with reading. And I spoke to Aidan about this week that over the past kind of 5 years, I've went through a lot of phases where I read a lot, and when I'm reading every single day, I feel my best. I feel my most creative. I feel like I've got more space to think, and then when life gets busy, it tends to be something that I push out. But I want to have that as a non-negotiable in my life. Like, it makes me feel good. It makes me think better. Makes me think more clearly as well, better ideas. And off the back of it, we've got some great topics to talk about. You're feeling the same, aren't you?
I'm feeling the exact same way. I've just picked up the book, Ego is the Enemy, and I feel like as I read the exact same as you, I just feel better, I feel way more clear. It's putting things in front of me that I don't always think about, and it just kind of gave me a lot of kind of realizations and stuff that I need to work on, stuff that I need to kind of home in on. So yeah, feeling so good now that I've picked up the book.
Let's start on the first topic, process over outcome. That's something that you chatted about yesterday on your content.
I spoke a little bit on Instagram about this, just because I was kind of reflecting on my whole progress the past few months. And it's like, I was sitting down and I was kind of like questioning why it's clicked now. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of questioning, like, why is that I couldn't get it before, but I'm now getting it. And I think it's got a lot to do with a lot of things. Like, it's with the coaches, like having people like yourself around to like train with, and bounce off of. But a massive part of it is like the mindset shift that I've had when it comes to training, nutrition, and just in general showing up for myself. And that is shifting my mindset from outcome based to process based. And that basically means, well, before, all I ever would do was fixate over how it's going to be when I get to the end point. And I'm someone who isn't very patient whatsoever, so it kind of just ate away at me, if I'm honest. I always just wanted it like that, and I didn't understand how much it was going to take. And I always found myself really just wanting to be there before I even put in the reps, and it just doesn't work like that. That's what I've realised. It just doesn't work like that. So I was just kind of finding myself stuck in a place where I just couldn't push past, because I wasn't ready to play the long game. I feel like you need to submerge yourself in the long game and be ready for anything. When it comes to that, you need to be willing to put in the time and reps, and just basically surrender to the long game. That's something that I said in the caption when I posted that, is surrender to the long game, and don't try and get overnight success. So yeah, I've been really focusing on actually just enjoying every single day as it comes, like every single session, every single meal. Like, the more I'm present, the more I'm going to be able to just progress. Because if I've not got like a kind of particular goal in mind, like there's no end goal for me, then that means I've got no ceiling to my progression. I just think that it's good to have goals. It's good to have goals that are in the future for you to work towards. But when you fix over them so much, once they come about, once you get to that particular goal, whether that's a high rocks or you're getting in good shape for a holiday, when they're over, it's like a kind of, like, I don't know what to do now. So the way I like to think about it is, I've got no goals. I've got little sub-goals, like Oslo, High Rocks Oslo. We're planning on doing other events in that as well, but they're not the goal. The goal is to be able to progress, continuously progress, and have no ceiling to progression, if that makes sense. And that just means that I can just continue to do what I'm doing, and I don't need to worry about, oh, when I get here, what do I do then? I can just keep on doing the thing.
Love that, because it's like outcome based. Like a goal's really just an idea. Like that's really what it is. It's an idea in your head to get towards. Whereas process is like the things that you actually do, like the actions that you take towards getting to that idea. Like that really is what's process driven. Being the person who does the thing that gets you to that place. Whereas if you're so goal driven and you're not focusing on the actions that are going to get you to there, then it's pointless.
Totally, because process is basically the present, and
Yep.
an end goal is the future, and you can only focus on the present, so there's no point really focusing and constantly thinking about the goal.
Yep. A really good book on this is a book called The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, and it talks a lot about how so many people play games that they can't win. No, they can win or lose at. Whereas the infinite game is constantly improving yourself for the rest of your life. Like for example, constantly getting your ego aside, trying new things, trying to be better at things, taking on new things, which we're actually going to go into, as well as silencing the ego. But yeah, playing the infinite game rather than playing a game that like is win or lose. Like if I drop 2 kilos in the next week, then I win. But you don't want to play the games. You want to play the game of, right, I want to get better week on week on week.
Totally. It's like everyone always tries to put a cap on it. Like everyone always tries to put a cap on their progression. So it's even if you think about it, like everyone speaks about the 10,000 hours to mastery. Like, cool, what happens after those 10,000 hours? Do you know what I mean? You continue to do the work. And that's basically what ego is the enemy talks about. It's like, it's not about getting to this particular point, because if I focused on getting to a particular point and I've got nothing to do after that, then you just stay the same and there's not actually any trajectory. You're just here and then you're just there. Do you know what I mean? Yep. And the goal is to be able to continuously go up. Of course, it's not always going to go up, but you want to be able to make sure that you're continuously progressing. Yes.
Off the back of this podcast, me and Aidan have just finished playing paddle there, right? And we played paddle with the rest of the Sydney team. There was about, how many, 30 of us or something?
A good few years.
About 25, 30 down at, we booked out 4 courts and we were playing some paddle. And this it segues us into the next topic of play and like being a child again. Now, we spoke about like, and when you're young, like you want to play, like you don't think and you don't worry about so many different things. Now, we just played paddle there, and we're actually thinking about giving up the high rocks, aren't we?
Going as a
pro
duo.
paddle players.
Going as a duo. So just watch. Whoever's out there playing paddle will smoke you guys.
And yeah, we spoke about even just that there. You don't, when you're playing, you do feel like a kid. There's no worries in your mind. There's nothing in your mind whatsoever, because you're just there playing. Mm-hmm. You're present in the moment in time. Whereas you grow, Aidan made a really good point, is as you grow up, when you go from nursery to primary school to secondary school to college, uni, apprenticeship, etc. It's almost like every day you're getting conditioned to stop playing that little bit more. Like it's just conditioned into you that you're growing up to be an adult. So that means that play almost disappears. And it doesn't even have to be play like playing a sport or whatever. It can be playing games, can be playing Xbox, like PlayStation and all that. Like we get conditioned to that's almost looked down upon as soon as you become an adult.
Totally, it's like societal norms that people pick up, and like every single day as you go through that process, it's like ever so slightly just losing that child in you. So like if you, a good way to think about it is like you start playing a sport because you loved it as a child, but a lot of the time people stop playing that sport because they maybe can't deal with the sport mentally, and they maybe feel like it's too much pressure. But when you were a kid playing that, pressure wasn't even a thing. You didn't even know what that was. And that basically happens is because you're finding yourself getting caught up in, as I say, the societal norms, worrying about what people are going to think of you if you do bad, or you have a bad game, or you miss the shot. Like, it's the biggest part of like sport in general, is the mental game. And I feel like so many people just lose that kid in them and lose the play.
Why why do you think that is with like so like as you say like you progress on from like playing football when you're a kid into like into school and then into adulthood, like I know we obviously get more competitive, but where do you think that like the change happens? Why is that happening?
Where does the change in terms of
Like going from oh this is fun to I need I need to win this or else like it's going to ruin my weekend.
because
kind
it's
of thing.
probably because you probably get quite a lot of validation if you're playing football, or you say for example you've played for a very very young age, and you start to grow up and you are good at what you do. You'll get validation from people and you'll be known as the football player, or the person in school that plays football and is good. So you almost attach your identity to that.
Yeah.
So that's where the pressure comes in. You're in your head thinking, I'm meant to be this person, and if I don't show up, then I'm not going to get that validation, and then people are going to forget about me, and I'm going to be alone. And it goes back to that hunter, that kind of tribal hunter gatherer. If I have a bad game, people are not. I'm going to become irrelevant, or people are not going to like me, and then they're going to detach me from the group, and then I'm going to have no one. Like, that's the way it comes down to, I think. And I think about this quite a lot because ever since I could remember, I had a massive issue with it. I could always perform when there was like no stakes or no one was watching or anything like that. When it came to like football, or like even like I used to like do scootering and stuff like that at a really young age. And ever since I can remember, I couldn't do it as well when there was anything at stake. And that was because I don't know if it was because I was constantly in my head and I was losing that play already. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't focused on the play, I was just focused on looking good for people to think more of me.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And then it would get into my head so much that I couldn't perform because I was too fixed on people thinking I was good, that I would play shite. Do you know what I mean? And the more and more you let go of, this goes back to like the whole process over outcome, the more and more you let go of the outcome, the more you can just play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's something for me. Like, I can just play. Like, now when we're like doing high rocks, of course it means something to me and I'm gonna try, but I'm just going out there to play. I'm just going out there to have fun.
Yeah.
And I can let go of that, and then the outcome's the outcome.
Yeah. This is probably a good task or question for whoever's listening as well, is the have a look at your week every single week. Is there any sort of task, or is there anything that you do in general that would be considered as play? And if there's not, why not?
You should look for that. That's a massive thing. Like, you should have play in your week. It doesn't need to be daily, but you definitely should integrate it as much as you possibly can. Like, whether that's going to play paddle with your mates for an hour, whether that's doing some sort of kind of sport, or you go to a book club or something like that. Like, things like that are so important to your life, because then that can come into different parts of your life and you can understand what play actually means.
Yeah, talking about this always brings me back to Novak Djokovic, probably the best tennis player of all time. I think he's the most decorated player now. I think he's won the most. And there's an interview that a guy asks him, how have you became the best in the world, or how have you won like this amount? And people always think that it's like, oh, he's dialed in his mindset, he's done this, he's done that, and he just says, um, because I just love hitting the ball. Like he just loves that process. He sees it as play. He loves hitting the tennis ball, and like if someone's obsessed with that and just loves playing, they're gonna become the best. You can't compete with someone. Say for example, another tennis player comes in, wants it for the fame, wants it for the money in it. Like there's a lot of money in tennis. Like a lot of validation will come from it. It's a very popular sport. If someone is in it for that, they're going to go nowhere as near as Djokovic, who is just like, I love just showing up and hitting that ball.
They don't compare. And if you look at Djokovic, like the way what he said is that he just loves hitting the ball. If you think about it, he started because of that.
Yeah.
That's the child in him, basically. So that's what it means.
Yeah, and he's continued on with that. Another question off the back of this. What is something that you'd done as a child, look back on? It might not even be like playing a sport or whatever. It might be drawing, it might be reading. What is something that you were obsessed with when you were a child and has been conditioned out of you since, that's probably a better question than the last one, it's been conditioned out of you into adult life? Where can you implement that again? Where can you try that again? Because I promise you it will set your heart on fire.
Totally.
Love it.
Class.
You have to be a bad artist before you can be a good artist.
This is a good one. I love that shit. I think that like so many people can't, like they've not got the attention span to be bad at things. And like no one's ever started something and been instantly incredible at it. Don't get me wrong, there might be some people out there that, like me for example, today I was just incredible at paddle.
I knew you were going to say that.
But like, so many times I found this, I like that quote because I speak for myself when I say times before I've really struggled to get into things because I haven't been great instantly. And I'm starting to come away from that. You need to play the long game when it comes to getting good at things. You need to welcome the struggle and welcome being bad and understand that you're going to get the most out of that first period of starting something new because the progression is going to be wild. Like, that's the way you want to look at starting something new, whether that is getting better at reading, getting better at like meditating, whatever that is that you want to focus on. You're going to be bad at it at the start, and that is so okay, because if you just focus on it and give it the opportunity for you and give yourself the opportunity to get good at it, you're going to see wild progression, and it's just, as I say, going to go up and up and up. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing for me, is being able to be shite at things at the start.
Yeah, you have to be shit at the start.
Yeah.
And I like it. So a lot of people, like I've had clients in the past or members, and they'll come in and it's almost like, oh, I've never really trained in the gym before, and like I'm not getting this, and like you just need to remind them, like, yeah, like I'm sorry, but you're going to be shit at the start. Like it's almost as simple as that. You can't expect to come in and not be, but like you're in the best place possible. Like coming to a coach and coming to a gym that literally helps you come in from being shit to someone who is less shit, a little bit less shit again, and then into someone who's good, competent, advanced.
I love how you brought that up, because I get that so much when members come into the door. They're like, "Oh, I'm just so shit at this," like, and they get frustrated, and they're like, "How is so and so like doing that?" Like, I'm looking around everyone and they're like lifting so much weight, and it's like, you don't need to worry about anyone else. You don't know these people. You don't like know their background. You don't know what their genetics are, anything like that. You need to focus on comparing yourself to what you were like a few weeks back, and that's the only thing that matters. We can go down a whole rabbit hole of like all the comparisons, the FIFA joy type stuff, but the way you need to think about progression is like when you're first starting something, is just being able to be shit at things basically at the start, and that's going to allow you to progress massively.
The next topic we're talking about is being intentional with your time, and this is linking to a book I just read called Stillness is the Key, and I recommend it to anyone genuinely because I think it relates to probably every single person who I know and the way we think. And it's a Ryan Holiday book. Now, I've yet to read a Ryan Holiday book that isn't so good. You're reading Ego is the Enemy, which is Ryan Holiday. You're also reading The Daily Stoic, which is 1 page a day from Ryan Holiday. He's a guy who talks about Stoicism, which is the ancient art of living. And it's pretty much like people from way back in the day who have like philosophers who think and pretty much tell you how to live life. And we're in a modern society now. So much shit has changed. It continues to change year after year after year. But there's Stoic principles that we can incorporate into our life that will help us so much. And one of them is being still. Now, being still and being present in the moment, and how much opportunity that can provide you to getting better every single day. Now, I spoke about it at the start here, how I've been reading more often and it's making me think clearer, it's making me be more creative. And I think a lot of it is to do with being still and being with my own thoughts and thinking a little bit more when I'm reading as well, rather than being like constantly on the move, constantly messaging people, constantly like being with people as well. Like sitting in a corner reading my book, like that is you zoning out to the world, and I think you need that. And from that, I was talking about being intentional with your time. I think that when you are still, when you're clear, it allows you to place your time in better places. And if on the opposite end, if I'm not still, if I'm constantly on the move, then I'm just going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. My brain feels absolutely fried, and then like I'm overwhelmed, I can't perform my best, all this stuff. But it all stems back from not being still in the moment. So it gives you a perspective on life that we are not living at the moment, unless you're someone who doesn't really go on social media, who like is very intentional with their time, who spends a lot of time outside, like which is 0.0% of the 0.1% of the population, then it's such an impactful book.
Totally. Definitely a book that I need to get to it. Like, for sure, I can totally agree. The Ryan Holiday's books and just the stuff that he puts out as well is just so class. And I've found, we've been speaking about this past week or two, because that's been a massive thing both of us have been focusing on, is like being intentional with our time.
Yeah.
Giving yourself the opportunity to shut off the headphones. Like, don't take the phone when you're going for a walk. Make sure that you're just with yourself. One thing that I've been doing this week is like leaving my headphones, leaving my phone when I go out for a run. In sometime like beforehand, like probably even like 4 weeks ago, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that because I find the more and more you're on your phone and the more you're like consuming and scrolling, it's hard for you to focus. But see, when you have times that you just get that opportunity to just sit in solitude, not consume anything and just be one with yourself, it just makes everything so much clearer, and you can actually like attack the day with intention and really get the opportunity to just be still.
Yeah, you feel like there's more space in your head.
You feel less claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I think when there's so many days where it's easy for us to get caught up in that, and it's easy for us to not give ourselves that time. So being intentional with your time and actually blocking that out and making sure that there is parts of your day where you have it to yourself, you get the opportunity to maybe read a little book or just sit in silence, have a coffee and just chill, is so valuable and something that people can't do.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do, most people.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to a story in your head now. Like, stillness, when we were speaking about this, you might be thinking in your head, I don't have time for that. But literally, you have to create the time. You have to create the space, the physical and mental space of it. Because I would have said the exact same probably 3 weeks ago before I started reading this book, where like I don't really have the time for it. Like, I'm so busy right now. But like right now, I'm just as busy. I have the same number of clients, in fact, probably more clients than I did months back, and I'm busier. I'm taking on more responsibility within Sin, but I've been just way more efficient with my time from creating that space, from creating that physical and mental space. And genuinely, I feel 10 times better than I did. Like, I don't think you even realise it in the moment as well until you make that change of doing it. And then you think, oh, like, I wasn't performing as well as I was back then until now.
Yeah.
Because I've created that time and space. But again, that's just I suppose it's just a learning curve of unlocking a new way of thinking and a new way of living as well. Now, this is why we document shit like this on here as well. It's like, it's just realizations. That's all this podcast is. We're learning every single day. What we say isn't like scripture. It's not absolutely bang on, but it's what's working for us, and creating space, creating a little bit of physical and mental space within my every single day has been game changing for me last month.
Me too, mate. 100%.
Let's talk about our friend Alan.
Yo. Shout out Alan.
So me and Aidan were doing the podcast last week. If any of you watch on YouTube, you'll have noticed that episode 29 and the last three, I think, maybe, we've been filming it in, what park is it?
It's Botanic Gardens.
Is it Botanic Gardens? Botanic Gardens, which isn't too far from where Aidan stays. And there's this like bench in front of the river. It's a really nice spot.
The goated spot.
It's the goated spot, yeah. It was raining outside today, so we couldn't go outside. But yeah, we're there recording the podcast, episode 29, and just as we were finishing it, maybe like 2 minutes before we were finishing,
yeah,
an older guy, maybe late 70s, probably 80s actually.
Yeah, 80s.
Alan was there, like just in front of the camera, and he had some flowers. And just as we finished up, we could see him with his flowers, and he was like tying it to the post that was just on the river. And Aidan and I were having a conversation, and we both noticed that he was almost struggling a little bit with tying it on. And Aidan jumped over, helped him tie it on properly. But then we ended up having a conversation with him, and it was like just a conversation, but I felt it was like a meaningful conversation, and it had a bit of feeling behind it afterwards. And it was like, I walked away from the conversation thinking, whoa, like that kind of made me learn a lesson.
Totally.
And it was the reason he had the flowers and he was tying them to the post was that his late wife had passed, and that was their favourite spot together, right next to the river, and they used to walk, and they used to go there. Was it every day, he said?
I think so. I said because he was quite local.
Yeah. He lived like 5 minutes away or whatever, and we had a great conversation with him. He was asking us what we were doing, like what our podcast was about and stuff, and it just like it made you think like, shit, life is just vulnerable. Life is short.
Aye. That's, I think we barely even spoke 2 words once we left the conversation, because I think it just had us both thinking.
Yeah.
Because I think we were just enjoying our time there, having a great time doing the podcast, and then kind of finished up, and just seeing Alan there, and as Anton said, I decided to help him out a wee tiny bit, and we kind of got chatting, and it just made me realise like be where your feet are. And it was almost kind of like a realisation for me, because I really get caught up in always living in the future, always thinking like, oh, what am I going to do when this happens? Or like, what am I, like, what session have I got next? Or before I've even done the session that I've got that day, or how am I going to get here? Or how am I going to get in this position? How am I going to make this amount of money? And I just find like I'm always living in the future. And I genuinely believe that's why people say to you, oh, life goes by so quick. It's because everyone lives in the future. Everyone's always waiting to get to this certain point, and then once that certain point's over, they're thinking about the next thing that they're not even there. Then they're not even there yet, and it just goes by so quick. And I just feel like it was a realization for me to be like, be where your feet are and focus on what's happening just now, and take in these times, because these times are the good times. You're living in the good times. And soon they'll be a distant memory, so it's important to be able to kind of cherish them for what they are, and not allow time to go by.
Yeah, we had this conversation yesterday as well of like, even during a workout, like constantly thinking about, oh, I can't wait for this to be finished. Like, and yeah, like it's understandable because it's hard or whatever, but you almost wish away that part of your life. And it even goes back to the childhood thing of wishing to be an adult. And then once you actually get to being an adult, it's like, oh, I miss the time in school. Like, I miss that. And it's going to be the exact same in 10 years from now from us, like, of being like, oh, remember the days at Sun, like when we were this young and we were doing this, that, and that. And it just goes like, yeah, it makes you almost get punched in the face, like, to be like, like, be present.
You never appreciate what you've got until it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's, you never truly appreciate something. You can say you appreciate it, but like, you don't you don't 100% appreciate that until you've not got it anymore. And that's what I've been thinking about quite a lot, is like, instead of wishing this like pain in this workout away, sit in it.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna come a time where you can't go to that part. You can't go to that part of like training. You can't put that intensity in. You can't stay in this hurt. And it's like, be grateful and welcome that, and as I say, be where your feet are, because life will get so much better when you do that.
I think that we'll end on that. I think that's a good note to have. But another little task or thing to think about is where can you bring what we just talked about, being present, a little bit more into your life on a daily basis. Now, when I feel most present is when I'm doing that stillness piece, when I'm doing that, like, creating a little bit of space. So in the morning for me, that's when most of my solitude is. I get up nice and early when the world is quiet. I'm the most still. I go for a cold shower, a journal, do some meditation as well. And the three things in particular, there'll be when I'm there with my own thoughts and thinking in a more creative way as well. And where can you create that in your life? It doesn't have to be that what I do in the morning. It can be at any point, but try and have some sort of a ritual that almost brings you back into the present, instead of living your life on automatic mode, where you're just like, right, I've woke up, I've not really thought about anything all day, boom, it's bedtime. Same again the next day.
Yeah.
Where can you create that in your own life?
A really easy one to do that is like when you go out for a walk. I think that leaving your phone and leaving your headphones and like genuinely just thinking about the step that you're putting forward, or thinking about how your breathing is, that is allowing you to be present and bring awareness to like the present right there and then. I found myself out on my walk this morning, didn't have my phone, didn't have my earphones. I was just, and I caught myself, because there'll be times where you need to catch yourself. I caught myself thinking, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? Or what am I going to do? Like, and I was like, you're doing it again. And sometimes that's all it takes. The way you want to think about it is it's like that with everything. You're snapping out of it and you're practicing that awareness piece. It's like meditation. When you are meditating, it's not, you're not failing when thoughts come into your head. You're actually working on it because the thoughts are coming in, and you're working on allowing them to just pass and then stay in the present. And that's exactly what you should be focusing on when you're going out for your walks.
Love that. Let's end it on that.
That's it.
That was great.
That was great. Love that shit.
Again, we appreciate you all. We love you all for sharing, listening, taking your time to out of your day to actually listen to us to Doofenshmirtz.
Yeah, totally. If you took anything away from this podcast, then please send us over a wee message, or if you've got any like insights of your own, then it would be great to get a chance to catch up with or chat with you guys on Instagram or whatever. So yeah, appreciate you guys listening, and see you in episode 31.
Yes. If anything helped you whatsoever, make sure that you share it with a friend as well. That's how this podcast grows. That's how it reaches more people, and we'd be much appreciated.
Yes. Thank you.
See you on the next one.